In today's episode, we're sharing 3 ways you can make more money from the people you already know.
Welcome back to JFDI with the two Lauras. This is the weekly show for freelance social media managers where we talk about all the things you need to know to run a successful freelance business. On today's show, we're talking money. Basically, how you can make more of it from the people who are already in your life. Before we get in with the show, though, we would love to hear from you, so please come and chat with us on Instagram. We're over there as the two Lauras, or leave us a review wherever you're listening. They really, really help us to get the show into more ears of more social media managers, so we really do appreciate them. Anyway, let's get on with it. How can we make more money, Laura?
Well, should we just start with why
we need more money? Because
well, not why we need more money, but why we should go to or consider the people closest to us. And I'm not talking about you, literally your friends and family. Well, maybe I am talking to your friends and family.
Isn't there some sort of statistic that says something like costs 5 times more to get a new, I can't remember what the actual number is, to get a new client than it is to make money from existing customer. It's something like that. And I know that no matter what the number is, someone listening will go, yeah, but I'm not going to spend any money. So it's not going to cost me any more. But it is, because it'll still cost you in time.
Yeah, time is money. Time is money.
So whether it's 5 or 55, yes, we totally should have done. Next time, maybe when we record a podcast, we should do some research. Just a novel idea that I'm throwing out there.
Anyway, moving on. So I think it's important, like, what you're saying is true, though, isn't it? When people haven't or need some more money, they need an injection of cash, maybe they've lost a client, maybe they're in panic mode, they straight away think, right, I've got to go and get a new client. And we all know that is not always easy. And it depends on your business and if you've got your pipeline and whether you're keeping, leads warm, depends on how easy that is. But the reality is sometimes it's easier to review what's already happening, like what's already around you, rather than trying to find some cold business owner. I don't mean cold in personality. I mean cold and you don't know them. Yeah. And try and find them, get to know them, convert them. It's far harder. And as time is money, far more expensive than looking to people who already trust you, already know you. And it's common sense, but yet we don't seem to do that. Panic mode is, let's go find a new client from cold.
And I think this is very much the case for businesses who are hiring social media managers as well. They're very much like, we need to grow our audience. We need more people. Whereas really they should be focusing on the audience they've already got, trying to sell to those people. And it's like, that's absolutely how a social media manager can prove their ROI, isn't it? By selling to the audience that's already there rather than focusing on constantly trying to get new people and making no sales from either. So
and focusing on viral content and all that when actually the people could already be there waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're going to cover off three kind of buckets of how we can do this. So the first one is our current clients.
And I think this is the one that feels most icky to people.
Yeah.
Because they're like worried that they're going to piss off their client and then they might lose them if they try and sell to them. And I get that, but...
Yeah. I never forget when I started to... Like, I'd always tinkered around with ads, but it was probably about 7 or 8 years ago. I was like, right, no, I am going to go all in on this. I'm going to call myself an ads manager. Like, I had that kind of confidence. And I was putting it out there and I started talking about it on my socials. And one of my clients came to me and said, oh, I didn't know you, like, literally, this is someone who I did social media management for, spoke to regularly. She was like, oh, I didn't know you did ads. God, I'll use you. Like, when can we start? Like, and I was just like, Jesus. Like, I hadn't even thought I'll go to the clients, which might just be me. Well, maybe it is, but there may be other, you've got other skill sets, whether it be things like ads, or we recently did a training in the membership all about using chatbots in your business. And some people were like loving that and will probably go away and like learn loads. And then you can offer that as a service. It's like a bolt-on service that you can go to your clients. It's maybe that you've picked up other skills, like again, in the membership, loads of people are like realise they like love the data and have gone a bit, in depth on Google Analytics. And so you could then be someone who offers that as a kind of a service that you can package up that data analysis. There's loads of things that as freelancers in our business, we learn to do. We're constantly learning, and not just about social media. We're constantly learning because we are business owners and we're having to learn tools and systems and processes for our business that actually we can then roll out to our clients. But sometimes we forget that actually a lot of that can be monetized. And we forget that our clients actually might want that as well.
And I think we wait for them to ask. Yeah. Which is a mistake. I remember like going back years ago, I had a client who had like a fitness business. She didn't have a gym, but it was like a fitness business. And I did her ads. And there was a point where I was like, these ads would work much better if we had better funnels. And I was really like, I really want you to get better funnels. And in the end, I was like, look, can I build this for you? Because I think it will work better. This is how much it's going to cost. And she was like, yeah, fine. Like, and I'd been kind of building myself up in my head about she's going to say no and it's going to upset her and blah, 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 blah. And there was no thought. It was just like, yeah, if that's going to work, I'll do it. So, and like creating these landing pages, essentially they were, just for like lead magnets, and like it had like an upsell tripwire type thing on it. That's not part of a social media manager's job, but because I knew how to do it and I had a working theory in my head that if we had that it would make her ads work better, it was an obvious service to offer her. Yeah. And I'm not saying you need to learn how to offer all of these random things, but if there are things that you can offer that would help, why not? Makes sense.
And I think some people might be listening to this going, oh God, my clients struggle to pay my invoices already, let alone spending more with me. But it isn't always just about management services. No. There was clients of mine, like when I was offering ads, who I was just doing the social for, they couldn't afford ads, but they could afford to do some power hours so they could try and do it themselves and with my support. So there are still skills that I'm sure you can share with your audiences, especially this time of year when we're going into Christmas and that kind of crazy season for many businesses. There are ways in which you can package up services that can help with that.
And I think going back to what you were saying earlier about how a lot of people in the membership kind of focus on the data now, sometimes the data can kind of reveal opportunities. Because if you're looking at Google Analytics and maybe you're managing, I don't know, Instagram, whatever, and you're seeing there's a little bit of traffic maybe coming from LinkedIn or TikTok or whatever, and it's a little bit. So it's kind of proven that something can happen. And you can be like, look, this is happening. If we spend a bit more time and a bit more money on this platform, and I managed it for you, maybe we could make more of it. Yeah. And that's a good way to kind of show your client the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, no, nice. I like that. Okay. So in summary, think what can you offer your current clients? What can you identify that they already need, maybe because you've got access to some of those analytics? And what are they missing? What are they struggling with? These are probably clients you speak to regularly. They may be frustrated, and actually you may be the solution to their problem, but you've just not told them about it.
And it could be something as simple as the fact that you have to keep saying to them, I really need more photos. I really need more photos. And they're like, yeah, I know, I need to find a photographer. And you could be like, I'll find one. And you could just add a little bit of money on the top. Do you know what I mean?
Or you can take them, because we all know good iPhone or whatever brand of phone photos often do perfectly well on social media. So
exactly.
All right, so that's number one. Number two, and again, I suspect not enough people do this, but I might be wrong. My assumption is probably just based on myself. But it's going back to...
It's all coming out of the woodwork now, Laura.
It's going back to past clients, so people you've worked with in the past, whether that be people you've done management for or just people you've provided one-to-ones with, for example.
Or maybe they've just spent 20 quid on a upsell you had on a lead magnet. Doesn't matter, does it?
So past kind of clients or customers, I think would probably be a better way to cluster them. But also old leads, people who have come to you for management or for a service, and for whatever reason you didn't win that client. And I think there is an assumption with those people that they resolved their issue elsewhere. So yes, you didn't win the client, so you assumed somebody else did. Whereas the reality is the business owner could have just said no to everyone because they couldn't deal with it then. They didn't have the time to working with a freelancer, or they realised it was going to need a bit of or thought it was going to need a bit more of their attention.
Or they hired a freelancer and they were absolutely shit.
Yeah. Or they hired a massive agency and they were shit.
Yeah.
It's probably more likely to be so they could still be struggling. And they could have lost your details. They don't know to come back to you. Maybe they feel a bit awkward about coming back to you. So we can sometimes assume that when we don't win clients that they live happily ever after with somebody else. And often that is not the case.
And often it's like, well, you're dead to me. You didn't take me on, you're dead to me. And like that attitude doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
You have to sometimes you just have to kind of suck it up and be nice, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, swallow your pride. So I definitely think it's worth kind of identifying those people, make a list, 5, 10 people you've spoken to in the past or you've provided some kind of service or product to in the past, and go and speak to them, go and send them a message. And it's not that kind of salesy message. You could just send them a hi, how you doing kind of message, bit of a chit chat, see where that conversation goes. I'm not saying get off this podcast and go and spam everybody you've ever been in contact with, going, the 2
Lauras told me to send this message. Don't do that.
No, I'm just saying go open those doors again, have those conversations, ask how people are, ask how business is, ask if there's anything you can do to help them. And they may just say, look, I still can't afford you, if that was their reason that they couldn't work with you in the first place. But you could say, yeah, I kind of get that, but I'd love to help you. Say it's e-com, I'd love to help you get the most of this year. Look, why don't you do some power hours with me? Or why don't I give you a strategy to help you get between now and Christmas? And, so people like that. People like the idea that other people are thinking about them, but do it in a real, we get messages all the time, don't we? Especially on Instagram going, hi, I've recorded you this video on how you can improve your agency. And we're like, well, we're not an agency to start with.
We had one yesterday that I nearly replied to. It wasn't on Instagram, it was an email.
Oh.
No, we had an email yesterday saying something along the lines of, how would you feel if I could book you 50 podcasts a month? I would feel sick, quite frankly, was what I wanted to say to him. No, thank you. It's just,
there was one where they said, can I pitch to you or something?
Oh, yeah.
And they were a podcast person, and you replied going, well, you can, but no, you replied saying, look, our podcast's fine, so no. Yeah. And they replied saying, but I've got the perfect guest. And you replied saying, well, we don't really have guests. It's just like...
it's like, go away.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised you even replied to them. But anyway.
I know. Anyways.
Yeah, so don't do that.
I think going back to this, I think not the only way, but one of the ways that this works really well is if you are really organised with some sort of like CRM system. So you know what happened with that client. You know what they bought. You know how long ago it was. You know what they asked you on a power hour if they had one. You know why they said no to your proposal. So you've got all of this context, and you've got, even if like you had a discovery call and they mentioned something they were trying to do, and you've got a note of that, so you can then go back to them and be like, oh, last time we spoke, you said you were trying to do this. How's that going? That kind of thing, where you're building rapport and making them feel like you give a shit because you remember stuff about them. And you're not just some random person that's being pitched to. Like if that podcast lady had said to us, I want to pitch you a guest. I know you don't very often have guests, but I really want you to hear about this person. Maybe I would have been more open to her telling me who it was.
Yeah.
Because they would have done a bit of research. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So, just be human. Don't be spammy.
But you need a system for that. So subtle pitch coming in now for Hubsy, because Hubsy can do all of this for you. As you know, Hubsy is launching soon. It is our new all-in-one platform for freelancers. And in there, you can have all of your contact details. You can keep all of the notes about them. You can make notes about why they didn't take your proposal, or have a list of all the things they bought and the dates they bought them, all of those sorts of things. So you can really easily go and look at their contact record and get a picture really, really quickly, and send them a message right from inside Hubsy. So you don't even have to go and open Google or whatever to go and send them an email. You can do everything in one place. So that was just a little subtle pitch. But if you do want to get on the waiting list, go to hubsy.thetwolauras.com. We'll put the link for that in the show notes as well.
And you can also make a note in there to say, do not approach ever again.
Yes.
Because they're occasionally, there are occasionally people who will come into your life that you will never want to work with. So you can leave those notes as well, so you don't make the mistake of ending up in a conversation with someone and then suddenly you go, oh my God, I remember now.
Yeah. Don't. My husband had one of them. He worked for a customer, like this is going back years. And like I remember him having a terrible customer. Couldn't remember why or who it was. And probably about 6 months ago, someone came to him and was like, can you give me a quote for this, that and the other? And he's like, yeah. So he went to the house. And it wasn't until he walked in the house that he realised it was them. And he was like, oh, God. And then he had to try and get out of it.
Did you just price really high?
I don't think he even bothered. I think he just ghosted them.
Oh, one of them, is he?
Yeah. Tradesmen, typical. Anyway, so that's number 2.
Number 2, so revisit those old customers and clients and leads. You never know. You never know what's hiding there. Okay, number 3, and I love this. This is my favourite thing, and I wish I had done this sooner in my business, but it's to monetize those pick your brain crowd, because they will be a lot of them over the years. If I think the amount of people who have said, oh, could I just ask you a quick question? And it's like, yeah, the question might be quick, but the answer that's taken me years to perfect is not quick. There's value there. So I definitely think people have to learn to go, absolutely, here's the link to book my power hours.
Yeah. And I think like there is kind of a fine line, isn't there? Because there are some times where answering a question is going to build a relationship with someone for further down the line. But it's when the questions are, like you said, really in-depth answers, or they ask you more than one question. It's like, oh, okay. And so then how do I do that? And then how do I do that bit? And then what do I do after that? That's when it's like, okay, now you're taking the mick.
Yeah, it's when they come back with like, oh, well, I've just recorded you a video. This is the problem I'm getting. And this is what it's. So although it's nice to help people and it's nice to answer quick questions, you're going to have to predict, is this going to be an absolute ball ache? So for a start, anyone who's asking a question about ads is going to be very difficult to unpick a problem just from a verbal or a written message. Yeah.
One of the ways that I think you can kind of answer people helpfully, but also monetize, is to gather all of the frequently asked questions, because there will be questions that everyone asks you all the time. That becomes content. So that's either a blog, maybe a YouTube video, maybe a Instagram post, whatever. And you keep the URLs for those so that when people ask similar questions, you go, oh, this might help. And you give it to them. But on the bottom of that, you have by the way, if you need more in-depth help, book a power hour. So then you're being helpful, but it's taking you like the 3 seconds it takes to find the URL and send them the link. And then if they come back needing more, then you can sell them the power hour. So you're kind of doing both, aren't you?
Yeah, because then you're not giving them personalised help for free. You're giving them the generic, here's the blog post, or I've done a post about this, here's the link, which is cheap as chips to be, that's not going to cost you anything really time-wise to do that. But if they want specific, but my specific problem is this, or I'm really struggling with this, and you can go, okay, it sounds like we need to get on a call here, book a power hour type of vibe. Because if you think, like, I wish, and there's no way for me to ever do this, but if I was to sit down and think about the amount of people I used to meet for a freaking coffee. I used to go and sit in a cafe with people.
Oh my God, Laura.
Right in the early days.
I feel like I don't know you.
I know it was a steep learning curve.
Yeah.
Like the people I've sat in coffee shops with, to be honest, the people who I can just stand on the side of a kid's sports game and people pick my brain. And that's before you even get in the DMs and have the people asking you there. But if I was to count up the hours that over the years I've spent helping people for free.
They did at least pay for the coffee though, did they?
Well, probably. But knowing me, I'd have thought, oh, I'll pay for the coffee because maybe then they'll hire me.
Yeah. Do you know, someone was asking in the membership recently about they had someone who was like, oh, let's go for a coffee kind of vibes. And they said, how do I get out of this when really I want them to book a power hour? And like my standard line, if someone who isn't a friend says, oh, let's go for a coffee, and I know it's because they want to talk business, I will just always say to them, yeah, fine, I'll let you know when I'm free. And then I never let them know when I'm free. But probably the best thing would be, yeah, I'll let you know when I'm free. But if you want to do something online, here's my link.
Yeah,
and then,
there's always a way.
The chances are those kind of people are not going to take you up on it anyway, because they're just the freebie seekers.
There will always be freebie seekers, which is, that's just people are lazy, because let's face it, there's a lot of content online to help people that's free, and they just don't know. They're just not looking
can't be bothered to Google.
So definitely try to avoid giving too much, because you give so much. If you think of all the time you put into your content, to put into writing blogs, you give a lot for free anyway, assuming you're marketing yourself and assuming you're giving like quite high value content. You're doing a lot for free essentially already. You don't need to be helping individual people with their businesses for free.
I like what you just said a minute ago, like the generic stuff is free, the bespoke stuff is paid. And the generic stuff, like the generic content, it's helpful to everybody, but it's also helpful from like a search perspective if it's a blog or a YouTube video or even Instagram these days. So it is going to help you long term if you put the effort into things like that. I've got a blog on my website that's been on there. This is how old it is, and it still generates me leads. The title of the blog is something about how to get swipe up when you don't have 10,000 followers. It's like, we don't even have swipe up now, and I still get so much traffic on there and so many leads from that blog. And that came about just because everyone used to say, how do I get swipe up? How do I get swipe up? So I just wrote a blog and went, here you go.
Yeah.
So, it's just the simple things sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're thinking, okay, great, I need to get this sorted, I need to be able to book these power hours, again, it's a little nudge to Hubsy coming your way, because we've actually included a whole system for selling power hours. So there's going to be templated pages, like sales pages. There's going to be the whole online booking process, automated reminders for people, for yourself, for them, follow-up emails. And there's going to be a portal available for your clients so they can log in and download or watch all the videos and any of the resources that you've given them in relation to that power hour. So it will be super simple for you to be able to do this and to kind of monetize those pick your brain people.
Nice. Love that. And again, the waiting list is in the show notes. So there you go. So 3 ways then, although I feel like there's probably 4 ways there, or 4 types of people that you can monetize from. So you've got your current clients. What can you offer them people who are already paying you? You've got your past customers and clients who've already paid you in the past for something, whether it's management, spent big bucks with you, or like 20 quid, doesn't matter. You've got leads, so people who have been in your world, you've maybe had conversations with, but haven't turned into a customer. And then you've got those pick your brain people. And all of those people can definitely make you more money. They can all be monetized in some sort of way, shape or form. And I think it's really important just to remember, anytime you're sitting there thinking, I really need to add some more money to my bank account this month, instead of going, oh, maybe I need to grow my audience, or, oh, maybe I need a new lead magnet, you go, hang on a minute, who's already in my world who might spend more money with me because they already know, like, and trust me? And you start there. I think that's a good basis.
Absolutely. Nice. Well, come and tell us how much money you've made of all of these people, and we'll celebrate with you. So that's it. We'll be back this time next week, and we will see you then. Toodles! Bye!